Hello friends, I am once again back with you all in this channel, that is Hospitality Education PPT, and as you know and it is displayed on your screen that we are going to discuss about our third part on understanding meat basic. Already we have covered up the introduction of meat and also the cuts of lamb, and in details in our previous class we have discussed about the cuts of beef. Now today we'll take it to the next level, that we're going to discuss about the various steaks. We must have heard the name beef steak. Various steaks we get from the beef, and basically this lesson is made to make us understand clearly with some visual effects that what are the name of the steaks, how it is obtained, and how it is processed, and also will clarify the idea about the different names. Okay, so that is our entire lesson today. I hope it will be another one interesting lesson for you all. So we are going to discuss on beef steak in details in this topic, in this session, and let's begin. Okay, now as I have mentioned in the beginning that we are going to discuss about the word steak. Now obviously the question may come in our mind that what is a steak? So let us try to clarify the term steak at first. What is that? You can see in the image there is a chunk of meat. Okay, now we are going to put forward further on this. Steak is a slice of meat, and as usually we say steak, unknowingly or knowingly also we get it very similar, that it is a kind of beef steak we are talking about, but it is not always true. Generally steak is a general term, and that's why the definition comes like this: steak, a slice of meat. Okay, it is assumed to be a tender cut and normally used for grilling, broiling or frying. Clear? And also we can say that steak can also be used as a term for tougher cuts of meat, and normally used for braising and stewing method. You must be knowing by this time that braising and stewing are a slow cooking process. So slow cooking process means it will be ideal for the tougher joints to be cooked nicely through these methods, that is braising or stewing. So steak means a slice of meat, normally a tender cut, which is used for grilling, broiling or frying, and we can also use the tougher cuts of the meat. Remember, I am using the word meat, not using the word beef, and normally the methods adopted for the tougher cut is braising or stewing. Okay, is fair enough? It is clear. Now we are saying that it can be used for all types of meat. Now we are clarifying it further, as well as for a portion of fish. So it can be a steak obtained from beef, can be a steak obtained from other meat, and as well as it can be a steak obtained from fish. That means it is a thick slice of meat. That's it. How the steak has come? It was introduced to France after the Battle of Waterloo by the occupying English forces. Okay, there is a little bit of history anecdote is attached to this. And steak was originally cut from the filet, rump or sirloin. By this time, these terms like filet, rump or sirloin is known to you. Already we have covered up these in our previous session on beef cut. So you can well understand that originally the steaks are obtained Especially for the beef, it is obtained from filet, rump or sirloin, and we are going to discuss on that area today. First of all, the term tenderloin or fillet of beef. If you remember our previous session, there we have shown you a cards which was known as the fillet of beef. Now we are going to elaborate on that. Fillet of beef is also known as, it has got different names. It is known as filet in France. Now check the spelling, F-I-L-E-T, pronunciation is fillet. It is not fillet, remember that. Filet, it is called in France. Tenderloin is a very common term, a very used term in USA. And filet, another one term, F-I-L-L-E-T, that is a spelling, is used in UK. So UK and France, we are having almost a similar word, only there is a change in the spelling. And USA, we are calling it a tenderloin. In general, also it is known as undercut. Okay. So these are the few names of filet is popular in the culinary world. And you can locate this image out here to get your reference in your mind that this is the area where you can see this is the position of the fillet. Because of this position, it is known as the undercut. Because under the cut, it is available. And you can also clarify that if you longitudinally cut the animal carcass into two pieces, then on both the sides you will be getting one fillet each. That means it is basically the spinal cord and the ribs, end part of the ribs cavity. This fillet is the growth of flesh. It is a kind of lean meat. We will elaborate it further. I am first now positioning it where it is available. So now it is very clear that it is why it is called undercut, because it is below the cut, below the joint it is available. It is a growth of meat over there, and it is look like this. Every carcass has got two fillet, one from the left hand side, other from the right hand side of the carcass. That means if you cut the carcass longitudinally into two halves, you will be getting two fillet from both the ends. Clear? And fillet will be looking like this. It is a trimmed fillet. Okay? And once it is cooked and sliced, it will be look like this. So this is just a picture is given for a fair understanding about the word fillet and its positioning. Clear? It is highly priced. The whole can be used for roasting. It is relatively lean by nature. Lean means it has got no fat, no marbling of fat, as well as because this is the area is never exposed to any kind of exercises. As because less exercises are there, the meat is very, very lean by nature. There is no deposition of fat. Clear? Okay. Let's move forward. This is the fillet. Actually, once you take it out from the carcass, it is one of the fillet, and in this case we have considered the standard weight of the typical fillet is around 3 kgs from the standard animal. Okay, fine. Now, as we have seen, this is the fillet. Once the fillet is coming out from the carcass, it is not the only fillet. Along with that, many other parts are also attached to this. So our basic duty is to cleaning of the tenderloin. We have to clean it first. How? There are certain steps, and we should remember that how it is to be cleaned. First one, place the beef fillet flat on a large chopping board and dry off any blood or moisture with a clean tea towel. So it is like this. First you place the fillet on the tabletop on a chopping board, of course, and use a kitchen towel and just dab it on the fillet in different parts. The purpose is to make it dry and remove any excess of blood coming out from that area. And once it is cleaned primarily, then the second step comes. Now what happens? You get to see that begin by running your fingers between the main part of the meat and the thick bit of connective tissues which is known as the chain. If you look at these fillet, you'll find out that this is the main part of the fillet, and here we can see another one side by side, one long attachment is there, and this is known as the side chain. It is a chain of muscle. We don't need that as a part of the fillet. We have to remove that. So this will come away from the main part of the, it is very loosely attached with the main part of the fillet, and you will need to run your knife through the to separate it completely. So we'll use the knife. You can see how the shape is working from along with the line of demarcation. You'll be able to see that it is almost very loosely attached. So through that line, remove the chain of the muscle and use it for some different purpose, mainly for mincing purpose. Okay, so first stage is making it dry. Second stage is removal of the chain muscle from the sides, which is very loosely attached with the main fillet. Clear? Then third step. Now once the meat is there, you'll get to see some very transparent flimsy skin on top of the fillet, and that is known as the sinews. You have to remove that. You can use the knife and next remove any membrane from the top of the fillet to expose the silver skin. You can see this silver color skin is there. The silver color skin on top of that, this membrane is there, which is known as sinew. S-I-N-E-W, this is the word, sinew. Now this sinew has to be removed. You can use your knife and slowly pull it off so that the silver skin will be very much exposed. Why we need to do that? Very next stage is to remove the silver skin. The silver color skin is removed. How? From the end part of the skin, silver skin, use the knife and put it in opposite direction and release it and repeat that process. Slowly this silver skin will be removed. Okay. Now once it is removed, how it will be looking like? Repeat the process until the meat is completely clear of the silver skin, and it is very important to face the knife upward. Upward means the knife edge, the sharp edge of the knife will be towards the skin, not towards the flesh. If it is towards the flesh, it will automatically cut the flesh part, which we don't want. If you look back the image once again, here you can see the knife is upward movement. Okay, the sharp edge of the knife is to upward. So it is not by any chance damaging the actual meat of the fillet. Okay, so repeat the process till the silver skin is completely removed. There will be also a small piece of silver skin on the back of the fillet, which should also be removed in the same way. So our basic purpose is to remove the silver skin now from all the areas, and it will be looking like this. Once you can see the remaining part of the silver skin, once it is removed, it is kept in one side nicely, and now we can look at the fillet which has become absolutely clean. Okay, and then from the head side, if there is any remaining part of the silver skin, that has to be also removed by this method. So excess of fat, excess of any part of the silver skin, chain muscle, all to be removed from the fillet, and now fillet is ready for further cutting them into steaks. Okay. Now we'll discuss about the various steaks obtained from the beef tenderloin. We are talking about now tenderloin at present. Now this is the illustration of a beef fillet, and we can identify the different parts. The front part, which is much thicker, which is known as the head of the fillet. The middle part is known as the middle of the fillet, and the end part is known as the tail of the fillet or end of the fillet. So these are the three different parts which by virtue of our work we should know we'll be able to identify them three parts. Now we'll try to find out the steaks obtained from these three parts and with their different names. First one comes now. This part you can see we are using the head part of the fillet, and from the head part of the fillet the steak comes, which is a very popular steak in the world known as Chateaubriand. Chateaubriand steak. What is the explanation for that? It is a cut from the head of the fillet, and for more than two portions. It is so big that it is never meant for one person, it is meant for two persons. And weight is around 300 grams to 1 kg, subject to the size of the animal and the size of the fillet you receive. So the limit is from 300 grams smaller variety and to the largest one 1 kg, the head part I am talking about. Okay. After cutting out, it will be looking like this, the Chateaubriand. Now once the Chateaubriand is that, then how it is to be cooked, we'll discuss it later on in the following class. But today for the timing, you just know it is served rare to medium rare. That means it is not fully cooked, either it is almost a raw, rare done, or medium rare done. It is more than raw stage. The outer layer of the steak is seared at high heat to lock in the flavor and juices. To lock in the flavor and juices means once the meat will be exposed to high heat, the outer part of the meat will be sealed. It will create a coating. It will coagulate very fast. As a result, this will act as a kind of coating so that during the cooking process, the meat juices won't be leaking out from the meat. If by any chance the juices are leaking out from the meat while cooking or after cooking, that means you are going to get a dry meat. That is not desirable. So first the meat has to be seared on a high heat to lock the flavor and juices of the meat, and then it will be cooked to rare to medium rare. And I am sure in the following class we'll discuss about the doneness of the meat in different ways in detail. Okay. Today our objective is only to know about the steak. So first one, from the head of the fillet that comes the steak, that is Chateaubriand. Chateaubriand can be the head of the fillet weighing around 300 grams to 1 kg, and it is cooked normally rare to medium rare done category, and it is normally made for two portions. Clear about Chateaubriand? Little more information. The name Chateaubriand, why the name is given like that? The name Chateaubriand has an interesting history. It was named after François Chateaubriand. Remember, R is never pronounced in French. That's why Hane, a French writer who requested his meat to be served in thick slice with just one piece of toast to soak up the delicious juices. Now of course, once it will be rare done or medium rare done and it will be served on a plate, obviously some cooking liquid will come out. That's why François Chateaubriand mentioned that he wants the Chateaubriand steak or this particular steak with a single slice of toast so that he can use that juice. He can enjoy the juice with the toast and also he can bite the steak. That is a little history attached to this as far as the name is concerned. And how it is served? Always it is served with chateau potato and a red wine obtained from Pinot Noir. Okay, and this is a slice. This is a slice of the Chateaubriand steak and with a good quality of what? The demi glace, which is flavored with tarragon along with a glass of wine and chateau potato. That is the complete serving of the Chateaubriand steak. Okay, fine, very good. Next one, again we get back this illustration. We have discussed about the head of the fillet. We get Chateaubriand steak and also we get fillet steak from there. Now we are coming to the middle part of the fillet. Now the middle part, you can see from the image that it has got two parts. This part, that means upper middle part, and this part is the lower middle part. Okay, and we are getting different steaks from there. First one, from the upper middle part. You can see this is the upper middle part. The steak we get, that is known as the fillet steak, cut from the head, as I have mentioned, cut from the head or the upper middle part of the fillet. Normally 4 to 5 steaks we can get from a standard fillet of beef or tenderloin. Their approximate weight is around 100 to 150 grams. That is the standard. So fillet steak we can get either from the head of the fillet or from the upper middle part of the fillet, weighing around 100 grams to 150 grams each, and it will be looking like this, nicely trimmed and cut into round shape. Okay, now same illustration will refer back. Now we will discuss about the lower middle part, this area. What are the steaks we get from there? We get another one steak that is known as tournedos steak. Tournedos steak also have a popular name in the industry, that is known as a double fillet steak, and it is obtained from the lower middle part, as figure says, of the tenderloin, often lightly secured with a string to retain the round shape. That will show you the figure right now, the image. Approximately 6 to 8 steaks are available from this region, and the weight is now it is decreased. It is 100 grams each almost. So you can easily understand that head part was the heaviest one, then upper middle part it was 100 grams to 150 grams each, and now it is only 100 grams each. Okay, and it is mentioned that it is to be tied with a string. Let us see the image. You can see that the thick steak is tied with a kitchen twine. It has to be a kitchen twine so that it should not have any impact on the quality of the meat. And then question is why the string is to be used. Now justification is tying string around steak serves multiple purposes. First and foremost is it helps the steak to maintain its shape while cooking. This is particularly helpful when you are dealing with thicker cuts of steak, as they tend to bulge and lose their shape during the cooking process. Additionally, tying string around steak can help the meat cook more evenly and ensuring that it cooks to the desired level of doneness throughout. So these are the few purposes why the steak is tied up with a string, and especially for the tournedos steak, as because it is only weight is 100 grams approximate, so it is a thick chunk of meat. So naturally you have to take care that it is nicely and cooked to the desired level, because there is a process. Whenever steak is ordered by the guest, they specify that to what level their steak should be cooked, and this is known as the doneness of the steak. We are surely going to discuss this doneness of the steak in our next session of the class on beef meat understanding. Definitely you should not be worried about that. For the timing, you just know this is known as the tournedos steak or double fillet steak, and we have also clarified that why the string is used, what is the basic purpose. Okay, fair enough. Let us proceed to the next. This is Again the illustration is back. Already I have discussed about the head part. We have discussed about the upper middle part and the lower middle part. Now it is a term of the end part or the tail part of the fillet, and you can also see that tail part has got two different parts to an imaginary line. Obviously, the front part of the tail is known as the upper middle part. Upper lower part or upper tail part, and upper tail part we get only one steak from there, that is known as the filet mignon steak. Filet mignon. Now the filet mignon means it is a cut from the upper fillet tail, as we have shown you in the figure, or the heart of a similar fillet, or we can also get in a small fillet, we can also get it from the middle part or the heart part of the fillet. Usually two per portions served, and weight is around 75 grams each. You can see it is reducing now. The earlier steak was the steak obtained from the lower middle part of the fillet, it was only 100 grams each. Now here in this case the filet mignon weighing is weighing around 75 grams, and it is also mentioned that 2 pieces per head is served, as because it is a smaller steak. Now coming from the very tip of the tenderloin, it is almost the tip of the tenderloin. Filet mignon is a small cut, hence the name. In French, mignon means small in French. Clear? Why the name is given mignon? Now it is very clear to all of us, as because it is very small, that's why, and weighing around is 75 grams. You understand that now why it is called filet mignon, and mignon is nothing but small in French. Clear? Now we'll see the image first. Filet mignon is like this, a small steak. Now we'll go back to this image once again. Now we'll talk about the lower end of the fillet. Lower end of the fillet is so thin by nature, so naturally we are not getting any steaks from that area. Then what to do with that? Are you going to throw it? Certainly not. We are going to use it. How this tail end of the beef fillet is used, let us look into that. This tail end can be cut into chunk of this kind. You can see the image, and then we can prepare a particular dish out of this, which is known as a goulash, which is a traditional Hungarian stew made with cheaper cuts of the meat, and in that case we use the end part of the fillet, which is cut into chunk. Okay, it is very popular. The specialty of Hungarian goulash is flavored with paprika. Paprika is a kind of special chili from Hungary, which is not that hot, but it gives lots of bright red color to the preparation and with a particular typical flavor. And as I have mentioned, meat is cut in chunks and served with rice, bread or noodles. So you can understand that from the end part we are not getting a steak. We are cutting into chunk and use it for making into Hungarian goulash, which is flavored with paprika and served with rice, bread or noodles. Details will come, and it is almost looking like this, a curry sort of thing. It is a kind of stew as already mentioned, and it is served like that. Okay, we can make another one product with this. In that case, the end part of the fillet cut into strips. In this case it is cut, in case of Hungarian goulash it is cut into chunk, and in this case it is cut into strips, long strips, not very thick, thin long strips. And we prepare another one dish which is known as the beef stroganoff. Its roots is from Russia, made with the cheaper cuts of the beef, as I have mentioned, cut into strips and used. Stroganoff is not a stew, it is a kind of sauce, made up sauce. Clear? It consists of pan-fried strips of fillet steak, as I have mentioned, along with mushrooms and onions. and the sauce is made with brandy and lots of sour cream. We'll know in details in the future. I'm just giving you the overview of the preparation beef stroganoff. And traditionally it is served with rice, not noodles. So goulash is served with rice or bread or noodles. Stroganoff is served with only rice, not noodles, and it is looking like this. Okay. So now we are having a very clear idea about the steak obtained from beef tenderloin, starting from the head of the fillet to the end of the tail. Okay. Now we'll proceed to other steaks obtained from the beef carcass, and that is the sirloin. Let us first see what are the components of a large sirloin. You can see this image. This is basically the end part of the spinal cord along with the ribs. This is known as the sirloin, and of course, as already I have mentioned, the animal is cut, the carcass is cut longitudinally into two halves. So obviously we are getting the same cut sirloin from two sides. This is one side from the left hand side, another one from the right hand side. Now what are the things are there? You can see it has got rump, it has got a fillet, and we can get some numbered area. What are the steaks we get out of there? Number 1 is a porterhouse steak. Number 2 is a T-bone steak. Number 3 known as the club steak, and number 4 is known as a rib steak. If you just see this image, this side, it is giving you a 3D feeling that you can see how the steak will be looking like along with the bone. Okay, now let us see the detail of it. This is how the large sirloin is normally delivered, and what are the parts components comprising of fillet? Already I have mentioned. Rump is also there, and sirloin, this is the sirloin part, and hind or wing rib as well as some sweat. The ribs are there and also the sweat, whatever beef fat is there, that is known as the sweat. The sweat is basically the fat around the kidney. Some sweat will be also there. Okay, so this is the part of this large sirloin. Now various steaks obtained from sirloin and rump, we are going to discuss that. First one, sirloin steak, or we call it entrecôte. It is a piece of prime quality beef which should be cut from between two ribs. Between two ribs there will be some immense good amount of flesh, and that is used as a steak, and the name is sirloin steak or entrecôte. Hence the name, between the two ribs. Cut from the bone sirloin with a slight rim of fat, 1.5 to 2 centimeter thick, sauteed or grilled. So it is a boned sirloin with a slight rim of fat. How much? 1.5 to 2 centimeter thickness of fat, which is normally sauteed or grilled. That is entrecôte or sirloin steak, served with various garnishes and sauces. Okay, of course it will be garnished and some sauce will be there to serve with. It looks like this, and actually it looks like this. The fleshy part between the two ribs, whatever flesh you get, that is known as entrecôte or sirloin steak, with a layer of fat that is 1.5 to 2 centimeter thickness, which is normally sauteed or grilled. That is entrecôte steak. Fine. Now we get another one steak which is known as the minute steak or steak a la minute. Now you can see that it can be cut from any part of the fillet. So from the fillet also you can cut into minute steak, and we can also use a rump or sirloin. So it has got no specific area from which we can get the minute steak. We can get it from the fillet, we can get it from rump, or we can get it from sirloin. Weight is around 125 grams and it is cut as thin as possible. Okay. Free of all fat and placed in an oil plastic bag and batted out to about 3 to 4 mm like a leaf. It is batted very thinly, which is, there is a hammer used in the kitchen which is known as a kitchen hammer, or also it is known as the mallet. With the mallet normally the steak is hammered and it is made into very thin slice like a leaf. Okay. To be cooked in a hot pan for 1 minute on each side. From there also the name is given minute steak, which is prepared in a minute. 1 minute per side, it is cooked on a hot pan. It is looking like this. This is the image of the minute steak or steak a la minute. Okay. Next one, double sirloin steak. Double sirloin steak or entrecôte double, that is in French. Cut from the bone sirloin. Bone sirloin means there is no bone. Weight is around 250 to 350 grams. About 2.5 to 3 centimeter thickness. According to the size of the sirloin, if the sirloin is thick, very big, then naturally it will be of this kind. Usually served for 2 or often carved at the table. That means a big portion is placed on the table meant for 2, and also you can request or the waiter will take the initiative to carve it for you. Porterhouse steak or T-bone steak. Porterhouse steak is cut from the trimmed whole sirloin with both fillet and sirloin meat attached. That means a porterhouse steak or a T-bone steak which is obtained from the sirloin, which is well trimmed, which contains some part of the fillet as well, tenderloin. Sirloin with both fillet and sirloin meat attached. Okay. About 4 centimeter or bone thick according to the size, 400 grams to 600 grams in weight to allow for the bone, intended for 2 or sometimes cut larger for a table of 3 to 4 in the oven. Okay. 3 to 4 persons or 2 persons served on the table, 400 to 600 grams in weight, 4 centimeter of thickness, obtained from the sirloin which is well trimmed, which contains both fillet and sirloin meat attached. Okay. Now it may be cut from a very small sirloin as one portion. It is obvious if the sirloin is a smaller variety, obviously it will be cut for one portion. T-bone is also cut from the sirloin but without the fillet, looking more like a rib steak above. Again it is a 2 portions. Now here we come with the difference between the name porterhouse steak or T-bone steak. Porterhouse steak obviously contain a part of the fillet and sirloin, whereas the T-bone steak only come with the sirloin, not with the part of the fillet. Clear? Now here you can see the image. From this area the T-bone steak comes out. You can see the T-bone steak and porterhouse steak of 2 different kinds, and your idea about the steak will be very clear from this whole image of the beef. Clear? Now club steak, another one steak, a triangular strip steak with an L-shaped bone Club stick comes from the smaller front part of the short loin nearest the rib. The juicy, well-marbled meat of a club steak is the same section of strip steak you find on a T-bone or porterhouse, but the club steak does not contain any portion of tenderloin. It is very similar to that of T-bone steak. Now here, this is the area, same area, club steak, from front of the short loin near the rib, also called for bone-in strip steak, well-marbled, tender and flavorful steak with an L-shaped bone. You can see this is a L-shaped bone from where we get, ideal for grilled, boiled or seared in a blazing hot skillet. Okay, so this is the thickness of the steak and it is obtained from this area of the carcass, club steak, part of the short loin. Rump steak. Rump steak is located in the, if you remember the earlier image of the entire sirloin, the end part was the part of the rump was attached. So rump steak is located in the hind quarter of the cow, which is known as the rump or round. This area is the leanest area of a cow and the meat derived from this section has less fat and marbling associated with it. Okay. Rump steaks also referred to as a round steak and are found in the upper portion of the hind quarter. That already you have seen the image over there, and this is the outcome of a rump steak from the hind quarter. Clear? The middle portion from each slice is considered to produce the best steak and is known as a point steak as well. The middle portion from each slice is considered to produce the best steak and is also known as the point steak. This area is also known as the point steak. So you are getting a rump steak as well as a point steak from the same area almost. So with this, we are at the end of the session, and with the discussions you must have understood by this time it was a very vital part. Whenever you will be working globally, maybe in our country the steak is not very popular, but internationally whenever the guest comes they normally ask for the steak, and in that case you should know the detail of the theory part as well as you should have sufficient experience of cooking of steaks. So thanks for attending this session. Hopefully it will help you a lot in your coming days as far as your trade is concerned. I need your valued comment whether you have liked the session or disliked the session. In both the cases, please I request you to give your valued comments so that it will help me to make the lesson much more attractive and effective for you all. The fourth part of the meat basic will be coming soon next week every Monday. By this time you know that every Monday I upload a new video for your session, and it is a regular request. If you have liked, press the like button, press the bell button, subscribe it, share it among your friends, and if you like, then definitely this channel, the purpose of the channel will be served, and I believe that any comments from your side, if it comes, any doubt if you are having, I will clarify it then and there. That is my commitment, and with that sweet note I am ending this session with a view that you all stay fit and healthy, and we will meet again as earliest in the next week. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.